welcome back to my channel. My name is Tilly and today you might want to grab a drink because today I'm filming my 2023 anticipated releases and it's probably going to be a long one. Also, apologies if you can hear Luna playing. My Christmas tree is here. I was going to get it in shot for you guys, but it's a complete disheveled mess after Luna's got her paws on it. Okay, so I've got my Notion. Also, side note, if you want me to do a tour of my Notion, let me know. I do use it for quite a lot of bookish things, so if you want me to ever do a tour, please let me know. So straight away in January, we've got One of Us is Back by Karen M. McManus, which is the third and final book in the One of Us is Lying series. Earlier this year, I read One of Us is Lying and really loved it. It's a really good young adult thriller, mystery. It's also now been made into a Netflix TV show. I haven't read One of Us is Next yet. It's something I'd like to get to in the new year and then finish off the series with One of Us is Back. One also in early January, and one I wasn't quite sure whether to include in this list, is The Stolen Heir by Holly Black. If you didn't know, this is a continuation from The Cruel Prince or the Folk in the Air series, also by Holly Black.
Obviously.
Which follows Jude and Carden, and it's kind of like an enemies to lovers fae series. And I believe The Stolen Heir is going to follow her brother Oak, who was, I think he was about 8 at the end of that series, so, and then he's like grown up now, so it will then follow him. I'm not too sure if Jude and Carden are going to be in it. If I'm honest, I didn't completely love the Folk in the Air series. I know it is a little bit like Marmite on BookTube as well. Some people love it, some people not so much. I'm kind of in the camp of not so much. I kind of had to push myself a little bit to finish the series. I did finish the series, but I can't remember too much about it, which I can't remember much about it. I think I was very close to DNFing the series at various points. Then on January the 10th, we've got Hellbent, which is the second book that comes after Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. You're probably thinking, Tilly, you've not read Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo, and you'll probably notice a theme here, that there are certain series that I've included in this that no, I haven't read the other books in that series, but I read Crooked Kingdom this year after really loving Six of Crows, which I also really enjoyed. So I'm quite intrigued to try the Alex Stern series. I have ordered myself the Waterstones edition of Hellbent. I'm not sure I like the cover, it's a bit out there, but the edges look really cool, so I couldn't help myself. I may have done some damage in the Waterstones Black Friday event because it was triple points, so I did a lot of my pre-orders then, so you're probably going to notice that I have pre-ordered quite a lot for next year already. Then moving to the middle of January, so the 14th of January, we've got How to Sell a Haunted House by Grady Hendrix. I read Horror Store during October, which I will put a picture here. It looks like an IKEA manual and I really enjoyed it despite me not really being a horror reader. So I really want to read some more Grady Hendrix because they give a very unique view on horror. I don't know too much about How to Sell a Haunted House, but I'm really excited to give it a go. Then on the 17th, we've got Mysteries of Thorn Manor, which is a novella set after the events of Sorcery of Thorns. Again, I have not read Sorcery of Thorns, but the cover was so pretty. I haven't pre-ordered this one, don't worry, but it is on my list. I would quite like to read Sorcery of Thorns and then we go on to Mysteries of Thorn Manor. Then towards the end of January, we've got God Killer by Hannah Kaner. This is one of the books I'm really excited for. I did pre-order the Waterstones edition during the Black Friday event, and I'm pretty sure it's going to be part of a book box when I read the synopsis on their Instagram page. Then at the end of January, we've got probably one of my most anticipated reads of 2023, which is Chain of Thorns, which is the third and final book in the Last Hours trilogy by Cassandra Clare. I've talked before about my love for Cassandra Clare. You can see my Cassandra Clare shelf up here. I'm up to date on the series and I really can't wait to see how it ends, but hopefully all my favourite characters are okay. So now we move on to February, and at the start of February we have got Heartstopper Volume 5. I couldn't find a cover for Heartstopper Volume 5, so I'm a little bit dubious as to whether this date is correct. I do also really need to catch up on the series. I'm up to book 2 and so I need to read 3 and 4, which I do now own, so I will probably be reading them very shortly, probably this month, if not probably January. Also on February the 2nd, we've got Loathe to Love You, which is the next Ali Hazelwood book. If you're not sure, Ali Hazelwood is the author that wrote The Love Hypothesis and Love on the Brain. I believe this book is actually a series of novellas. It does say it's the STEMinist novellas, so I'm expecting science elements like her other 2 books. Then on February the 7th, we're following the romance theme, maybe because it's around Valentine's Day, and that is Secretly Yours by Tessa Bailey. If I'm honest, again, I've not read any of Tessa Bailey's books books yet, but I've heard really, really good things about them, so I've added this one to my list. Also on February the 7th, we have These Infinite Threads by Tahira Mafi. This is the second book in the Woven Kingdom series. Again, I haven't read the Woven Kingdom series yet, but the cover was too pretty to pass up, and I've ordered the Waterstones edition because I couldn't help myself. Then at the end of February, of course, comes A Day of Fallen Night by Samantha Shannon, which is the prequel, I believe, to Priory of the Orange Tree. Now, I haven't actually read Priory yet. It is very, very high on my TBR. In fact, I desperately want to get to it during January. I find normally January is a really good month of reading for me, so I think I'm going to put that on my TBR, even though I try not to set myself TBRs, but I want to read it. And then we move into March with The Adventures of Amina al-Sarafi by S.A. Chakraborty. This is the same author that wrote the Daevabad trilogy. I've not read the Daevabad trilogy. You're really noticing a theme here, but I've heard amazing things about that series, and I'm not sure whether this book is in that series. Then we move on to April, and on my list of pre-orders, I've got One for My Enemy by Olivia Blake. Now, when I looked on Goodreads, I couldn't actually find this book, or I think it maybe, is this a re-release? You'll have to let me know in the comments. I don't actually know if this is a 2023 release. On the Waterstones website, it said it wasn't being released till 2023. It might be that it's a different cover, but this cover, guys, is absolutely beautiful, and the sprayed edges. I'll see if I can get a picture to show you. Also in April, we've got Atalanta by Jennifer Saints. I've had to switch to my phone because for some reason my internet on my laptop isn't working, but this looks like another Greek retelling. It's got Jason and the Argonauts in it, so I'm really, really excited. Then towards the end of April, we've got Happy Place by Emily Hendry. Again, I haven't actually read any of her books before, but I do own Book Lovers, and I know it's a favourite within the TikTok community. Also on the 25th of April, we've got In the Lives of Puppets by TJ Klune. It has a beautiful cover, and the Waterstones edition I've pre-ordered has amazing sprayed edges. If you didn't know, TJ Klune is the author of In the Cerulean Sea, as well as Under the Whispering Door and The Extraordinaries. The only book that I have attempted to read by TJ Klune was The Extraordinaries, and I didn't quite get on with it, but I didn't think it was the right time, so I've soft DNF'd it, and it's something I'm probably going to go back to because it's got superheroes in, and I love superheroes, so it's got me written all over it. I just don't think it was the right time. Then the one book I've got for May is Yellowface by R.F. Kuang. R.F. Kuang, I hope I'm pronouncing her name right, was the author of The Poppy War, again not read it, and Babel. I must be the only person in the world that's not read Babel yet, but they are massively hyped up books that I desperately want to get to. Yellowface looks very different from her other books though, and I believe it's a contemporary thriller, so very, very different genre to her other books, so I think that'll be a really interesting read. My next June book is another second in the series where I've not read the first one in the series, but I think it's something I'm gonna love. That's The Shadow Cabinet by Juno Dawson, which is the second book in the Her Majesty's Royal Coven series. I've been holding off getting the first one as I really want to get my hands on, I think it's Fairy Loot edition, because it's absolutely beautiful and I love the sprayed edges and just the colour difference and everything. But if I can't, I'll get the pink one, which is also very cool. Then in June, we've got the next book by Ali Hazelwood, which is Love Theoretically. I think this will probably follow along on the same sort of themes as the first two books she's written, but I'm hoping she does something a little bit different with this one. Then for August, I've got Masters of Death by Olivia Blake. Again, I couldn't find a 2023 edition of this on Goodreads. I think this might be an old book where maybe there's new covers, and that's why I pre-ordered it on Waterstones. Either way, the new cover and sprayed edges look absolutely stunning. Then we move to September, and one I'm a little bit dubious about whether it's actually happening in September, and that is Swordcatcher by Cassandra Clare, which I believe is a new series which is completely outside of the Shadowhunter world. I don't believe we've got a cover for this or very little information, so again, I'm really dubious as to whether this is happening next year. Also in September, we've got the next Beth O'Leary book, which is called The Wake Up Call. I don't know too much about this. I don't think there's a cover yet, but I did pre-order this one through Waterstones, so it probably is happening. Again, I haven't actually read any Beth O'Leary books. I do own a lot of them because I've heard lots of amazing things. If I do read a couple of her books though and I'm not enjoying them, I'll just cancel the pre-order. And then we've got A Fire in the Flesh by Jennifer L. Armentrout, which is the third and final book in the Flesh and Fire series. I've just finished the second book in that series, which is A Light in the Flame. If you want to hear my thoughts on that, I'll be doing a December wrap-up where I talk about all of the books that I've read this month. You may be like, but Tilly, you've missed out A Soul of Ash and Blood, which is also by Jennifer L. Armentrout and is in the Blood and Ash series. So if you're not aware, this is from Blood and Ash, but from the perspective of Hawke rather than Poppy. So it's kind of giving me Midnight Sun vibes, but I don't know if I'm into it. So I might read it, I might not. I'm kind of a little bit hesitant on that one. And then the last book on my list is Threads of Power by V.E. Schwab. So I believe this is a series that follows on from the Darker Shade of Magic series. So it will follow on from A Conjuring of Light. I read the first A Darker Shade of Magic book fairly recently and I absolutely loved it. I intend to participate in the Schwab Along, which is hosted by Bookish Gems, Lisa Does Live and Alas Reads. Again, I'm not sure whether this book will actually come out in 2023 because we don't have a cover and we have very little information, so I'm a little bit dubious as to whether that one will come out. So there you have it, the books I'm really excited about for 2023. If you made it to the end of this video, leave me the little calendar emoji and give this video a thumbs up, and make sure to subscribe so you know when I next upload. Thanks for watching, bye!